friends, it's Star Thrifter, and I wanted to do a little video today in regards to somebody starting out brand new on eBay for reselling. If you've not watched any of my other videos before, I sell full time. I sell on eBay and I also sell on Poshmark. And I started eBay right around 2015, I think it was. And I did part time for a very long time. But, anyways, we'll get right on to it. This would apply, a lot of this would apply no matter what you're selling. But then a lot of it's going to apply to selling clothing because that's what I mostly sell. However, I have sold other items also along the way. But when you first start out, it's a little like intimidating or overwhelming, isn't it? It's like there's all these different things to learn. And if you're, listening to some of the other videos or you're following the Facebook groups and they talk about, sell through rate and just to do comps when you're trying to look up stuff and you're going, what's comp and how do you look that up and what's sell-through rate and all these different things, and you're thinking, no matter what niche that you're going to sell, and you're thinking, how did these people obtain this much information on what to look for, what brands, what styles, what items, and you're thinking, oh, how will I ever learn all of this? I remember that. Oh, it was very tough at the beginning, thinking about that. But I will tell you that you will learn it, and you will move right along. It just, at first, it just seems like a lot. But some of the things that you'd like to pick up if you've not picked up any supplies yet for your new selling business, or whether you're just going to sell, occasionally, is you're going to want to pick up a set of scales. And they're just a little small scales, and mine's like a Sago. And I have the one that shows the weight and the ounces. You want to make sure that you can show ounces too. Because if you do anything that's calculated shipping, that means when you're shipping something on eBay, you're putting in the size of the box or the envelope, and you're putting in the exact weight, and then it's going to calculate, eBay's going to calculate it for you depending on what state or where it's going to. Like California is going to be more expensive generally as opposed to another state that might be closer to you. That's if you do calculated shipping. Now, I do flat rate shipping. And that means that, like if it's a top and it's under, 9 ounces, I might, do $3.99, $4.99, $5.99, whatever you choose. But I choose that flat rate on all of them. However, when I get ready to ship the item out after it sells, I weigh it before I purchase my label on eBay to make sure that I have the weight correctly. Could be a little more, could be less, whatever. You're going to want scales, and they weren't that much money, and I've had mine for a long time. I don't know if this is my second set or my original set, of scales, but they work really great. Another thing that you're going to want to have is material to ship your items out. If you're shipping, selling like individual items or hats or plush, plush is like stuffed animals, or knickknacks or whatever, you're going to need boxes. Whether you can recycle boxes maybe that you have already received, or maybe somebody has a business that has a lot of extra. Some businesses will let you, take their old boxes. It just depends. But if it's anything over priority weight, meaning like over, 16 ounces, you can order free shipping boxes through United States Postal Service if you're mailing through United States Postal Service. And they don't have to be flat rate. They do sell flat rate boxes. Make sure you know the difference when you're ordering. There's flat rate boxes, which those are going to be set at a certain price, but then you can order just regular shipping boxes where you're going to pay for a label and put on there, and according to the weight. I really like the ones that they have for shoes, and it'll say shoe box. It's kind of more, horizontal, and stuff like that. That works really great for a lot of things. Unless you're selling boots, you need a little bit bigger size one. For clothing, one of the things that I use a lot, I always have to have on hand, is the padded flat rate mailing envelope. And it's an envelope, but it's padded, and it's priority. So that means it has to be, well, it doesn't have to be over that, but you're going to pay That is a flat rate price. And right now, I think when I order mine on eBay, if something sells and I order it through eBay, eBay's charging me like $8.30. I do flat rate to the customer like $8.90 because that price has changed at different times of what eBay's charging at the post office, and also to cover some of the supplies and things like that. That's if it's over that. But for all your lightweight stuff, if you're selling clothing, you're going to want to pick up the poly mailer bags. And people talk about that a lot. And they're just, the poly mailer bags are just made out of plastic and they're not padded or anything like that. You can either, get plain white. You can get really cute decorative ones. They sell them on eBay and they also sell them on Amazon. And I order some of those. And then if you get a store on eBay, and I would wait on getting a store until after you've sold a little bit on eBay, then you can decide if you want to pay for a store subscription and you get more listings free and stuff like that. But another benefit is you get a $50 coupon every fourth quarter to use towards eBay supplies, and eBay sells the poly mailers with eBay wrote on it, and their quality is really nice. It's nicer than the ones that I actually order, and I've tried to order some thicker ones, but they don't usually always have the mill. But anyhow, in the other colors and things, but eBay's is really nice, so I order them every quarter when I get a chance to, and sometimes I'll order a little extra, when I order that and pay, above what the coupon was for. They're a little pricey compared to like if you just order the, plain color ones or whatever. That's not an eBay one, but that a lot of times they're thinner. Also, you're going to want to get some packing tape because I always secure a lot of times, even when I'm using a poly mailer, I'll put an extra piece of tape or on the padded flat rate envelopes. You tape that seal shut. It's sticky, but on the ends, the flaps kind of flap open. I just do the ends. Now, you have to make sure that that flap can close completely on there, because if it's too oversized and that's not really closing right, they might not accept it. You want to make sure that that flap can, has enough room to go ahead and close. But anyhow, you're going to want to get that. And then get a measuring tape and a yardstick, I recommend, because just about anything you sell seems like you're always doing measurements. It's not fun. If you've been selling for a while, you know what I mean, especially with clothing. For a long time, I listed measurements in the description, and I would write out what the measurements were, and I didn't do them in the photos with the tape measure or yardstick. Well, then you get people for not fit and blah, blah, blah. So then I started doing it where I took a photo of it with the yardstick on the clothing and stopped putting it in the description. And you still get some that say don't fit. It just whatever. But I think it is a benefit, and it is, something that you're going to want to do is to provide measurements, because I hear from a lot of people, whether they're selling or purchasing, sometimes they say that they won't even click on something if it doesn't have measurements. Now, I don't really look at measurements for the most part, but I don't buy a ton of clothing online because I thrift all the time and I get most of my clothing thrifting, but because I just go according to like small, medium, large. But if it was something specific, then I would. And some people, like a lady may be bigger busted and she's got to maybe she's small, petite, but she's bigger busted. She's got to make sure that that's going to fit her, in the bust, and whether it stretches or not. A lot of times I will write in the features, they have an option where you can write stretch, if the fabric's stretchy, and that way a person, knows. But when you're doing measurements for clothing, you're going to want to go length, bust, which you can put bust or armpit to armpit, and then waist. Now, when you write bust, let's say it's 17 across, I usually would write bust, 17 inches, armpit to armpit. And I don't like to use the phrase armpit to armpit because I just don't think that sounds that great. But that's what the majority of people do use. I guess you could put underarm to underarm, or laying flat. Or you can put equals 34 inches around. It depends on what it is as to how I put the measurements in. And on the really long stuff, if I have a long dress, my yardstick isn't, big enough, then I will just measure it, and I'll put in the item condition, I'll say, see description for length, or something like that for measurements on the length. But even on small other items, like maybe it's a hat or it could be a figurine, they might want to know how tall that is or how wide that is. You gotta have that. Those are some other things too. And what I do, I've done it at times and then not done it at times. I've gotten little thank you stickers that you can just stick on, and they're really inexpensive. You can get quite a few of them. If you shop around a little bit. I purchased mine on eBay, and it's just a little nice thing to put on it. Now, all my clothing is in a clear bag, which is a clothing bag or a clear poly bag or whatever. I should have brought in examples of that before I started, and to where I could have showed you and then find out exactly what they're called. But they're clear, and then they have the warning on there, plastic warning or whatever. I put all my clothing in that first, then it goes in a poly mailer bag. It's up to you and up to a seller, but that is how I do it. It looks very professional when they receive it. And, it's nice when they receive something. I think they're very pleasantly surprised when they order an item and it's a piece of clothing that's used and it comes folded in a clear bag, a thank you sticker on it, inside a cute poly mailer bag or even an email, even the white eBay poly mailer. It looks very nice. I think that it does make a difference. Now you're always going to get some people that's going to complain no matter what you ship or what condition it is, and that's just part of the game. And that's a whole nother facet of it. But those are some of the things that you're going to want to get right off the bat. In regards to looking up comps, when you have your cell phone, on your cell phone, go to your Play Store and download the eBay app. After you have the eBay app and you open it up, at the very top, there's a search bar, just like if you're on the desktop. And let's say you're going to type a Ralph Lauren Sport women's t-shirt, short sleeve. Okay, you type that up there. And real quickly, when when you push enter, it will show, there'll be a spot where it'll show, let's say, this is like extreme, but there will be a lot of them actually, but it might show like 500,000 listed. Well, then once they're up there on the right side of your cell phone at the top, they'll have a spot that you can click on for like added or whatever, more specifications you can click. You click on that and you scroll down. You might have to push on more option, but there'll be a line that will say completed and sold listings or sold items. You want to click on both. You have the option right to the left of that to click on two little lock boxes. You click and that will lock it. But if you do that, then every time you look something up, it will only show the solds. Now, I leave mine on that, but a lot of people wouldn't want to do that if you're going to do the sell-through rate thing. So anyways, you click on that, then it's going to bring up all that sold, and real quickly it'll tell you, how many was listed. How many sold. I think it's for like a 3-month period. So you compare how many was listed. I'll just use, a made-up figure. There was 500,000 listed. Only 10,000 sold. If that was the case, that's not a good sell-through rate. And you're going to know that there's a lot of competition in that category if there's that many listed. Now, you might have something else that's like a Jams World top. There's not going to be as many listed of that. And let's say there's like even, I don't even know. Even if there was 1,000, but let's say 800 sold, that's a really great sell-through rate. Do you see what I mean? But anyhow, that's how you can lock that into every time you look something up on your eBay app, it's going to show sold only. But if you want to do the sell-through rate, then you're going to want to unlock them because you got to see how many is listed first. But anyhow, that's what it means by comps. When you go to the thrift stores and you walk in there and I remember what it was like. You're all really happy and you're looking forward to this. You want to start thrifting and start looking for these things that you've either watched YouTube videos on or you've heard about or read about on the Facebook groups. And I even made little cheat cards, like cards where I wrote, or not cheat cards, but little cards that I would write down brands and items. And you get in there and it's a little overwhelming. A lot overwhelming. But don't let it intimidate you. You will learn, and very quite rapidly, you will notice how much that you'll keep retaining and how much you'll know. And pretty soon, you'll just be like, be able to walk in there with no cards, no note cards or anything. But I remember when I first went and I was sorting through the clothes, and you're going through there and there's just like tons and tons of clothes, and you go, well, this is a really cute shirt, but it's some brand that might not be a great South brand, like okay, an example I'll give you is Alfred Dunner. In the small, medium, large size, I would not pick that up. That's just personally me. You can, check comps and do what you want. I mean, but it's a really cute thing. But it's right next to a Theory top. And you're thinking, well, I've never heard of Theory before, but I've heard of Alfred Dunner. Wonder what to get. Well, let me tell you what, that Theory top is the one that you're going to want to pick up, and that Alfred Dunner you're going to want to leave there, unless it's plus size. I sell plus size Alfred Dunner. But you will learn all of this. You will. And it does get easier and easier. And it took me a while, but I would try to learn. I would write out a whole card. But then I'd be in an aisle for a really long time, and I'd be looking at the card and looking at the clothes, and I'd forget what the card said, and I'd be looking at the clothes, and you know how that goes. Maybe start with only 5 brands. Start memorizing 5 brands, whether it's in clothing, whether it's in plush toys, or whatever, or shoes. Maybe just start with 1 or 2 brand shoes and what style. That makes a lot of difference too on what style it is and what material it's made out of if it's clothing. Because like I just said, those Theory tops are a great thing, to pick up. But some of them don't sell for a lot as quickly if they're just like a cotton or a short sleeve. Depends on the style and maybe how old it is, like how long that style had been out. But if it's cashmere, linen, or silk, it could sell for a whole lot more. And when you go, when you're getting ready to list on eBay, you can, make sure you want to put in what material it's made out of. If it's, silk or cashmere or something like that, you're going to want to make sure, because those type of materials, you're going to get more money, regardless of the brand. But you're not going to get a ton of money for some, brands as you will, for others. Like a cashmere sweater, if it's not a really super popular brand, you're not going to sell it as much as like a more popular brand or a high-end brand that's cashmere. But you will get the hang of it. You just got to hang in there. And but what you do, once you get your items listed on eBay and you go through the steps, and it's pretty self-explanatory when you want to create a listing. What I did is I saved templates. And there's an option on there, and you can click to save a template, let's say for tops. And I filled in a whole bunch of those item specifics. It's going to be pretty much all the same on the tops. Now, if it's something that varies, and I leave that blank until I do the actual listing. But then also my description, if I want to add a few lines there, it will save that, keep that. And I go off of my templates. If it's something that I need to list that I don't sell a lot of, like I just listed some ties. I don't sell very many ties. And by the way, ties can be a slow mover. However, I had 2 that was brand new with tags, and the other one looked like a decent brand. The one already sold, but it was brand new with tags. It was a Vineyard Vines, and it sold for quite a bit, like $35, I think it was. But it was expensive new, but still, it was a great flip, because I think I only paid, I don't even know, $99 or $2.99 or something for it. But anyhow, when I had to list that tie, I looked it up first on eBay to see what other people had and what sold and one that was like it. Then I push, there's an option if you scroll more towards the bottom of the listing where you can push sell similar. I did a sell similar, then I went in and changed what I needed to in my item specifics, because there was some categories that I would not have been maybe as familiar with. And I know that gets really detailed, and it's easier probably if somebody is showing you. I had to learn this all on my own. I did not have somebody that I knew that sat down next to me and showed me how to list or how to do shipping or do anything. I greatly learned from watching YouTube videos and reading the Facebook groups and then figuring out. And I don't happen to be extreme computer savvy, but I've learned. And, I had to teach myself as I went along. And each new platform, it's a lot of work to to learn another platform. I sell on eBay, and then I sell on Poshmark, which Poshmark is a different, type setting. And, like a lot of people are selling on Whatnot right now, and I chose not to, because that's another platform I got to learn and keep track of and do. But, and, if you want to, go ahead. I mean, there's some resellers that sell on 5, but focus on just one at first. because it'll make your life a whole lot easier, especially if something sells. You got to be able to take it off both sites. Usually you got to do that manually, because I don't think any of those sharing third party apps have come out where it'll delete it for you. I could be wrong on that. There may be one or two that will do that for you, that will cross post, but I don't know if they take it off each one, and then you're trusting them to do that. What if it doesn't take it off, or take something else off? That's just my own personal thoughts about that. I do use one for sharing on Poshmark though, but just for sharing. Anyhow, once you and I do all of my listings on buy it now with offers. I do accept offers and things like that. But once it sells, the shipping process is pretty easy. If you're going to buy your shipping labels through eBay, you just follow the steps, put in the weight, make sure your measurements are up there for the package or the box, and then you purchase it, and then you just put it on. Now, when I first started out, for years, until just recently, like a month maybe, I printed it out on paper and I cut it out and I taped it on the packages. I don't include the shipping or packing slip. A lot of people don't, but I guess some do. That's up to you. And but I taped it on there all this time. That takes a lot of extra ink. I had an inkjet printer and tape and paper and cutting. It takes a lot more time. I finally just bought a label printer and I'm really happy with it. It's a really cute pink one I got on Amazon, and it works really great. And I think it's a Jensen. And anyhow, it's like really super fast and it's great, man. You just peel them stickers off and you stick it on their laser printer. From my understanding, you don't ever have to buy ink for that thing, but you buy the laser printer paper, and they're like a 4x6. And but the paper was pretty reasonable. I thought you get like this big roll, and I got this little holder that holds the roll. A lot of people do dinos, but I chose this one, and it really wasn't that expensive. It's a little over $100, and it works really great. This far, it's just great. But anyhow, you stick it on, and then when you go to the post office, you don't pay anything there. This is a big controversy. It's up to you what you want to do. At my post office, I can set it on a specific counter they have for the prepaid, and I know they'll scan it for me. And I talk to them all the time, and I do not wait for receipt that they scanned it. Starting out new, you can wait and have them scan it and then give you a receipt. That's going to be up to you, because you have to make sure that the package is scanned on the day that you take it if you have next day shipping. Or even if you have 3-day shipping and you wait 3 days to mail it, it's got to be uploaded, because I have next day shipping. And if I do not scan, that package does not get scanned when I take it the next day to the post office, and let's say it's delayed or it doesn't scan till it moves through the system to the next point, I'll get a defect on my account, and that's the worst thing that you can get on your accounts. You don't want defects, and that's a whole nother topic, but it's got to be scanned. I have to put a lot of trust in the postal service, because I'll take quite a few a day. Over the weekend I had like 3 big bagfuls I was taking, when I put it up there, but they've always scanned them for me, and they've done really great. But some post offices don't scan at that, I guess, point, and they wait to another scan. You may want to ask them or watch them, and they'll sit there and they have the scanner right there and they scan mine. But that is something you might want to work out with your post office. Become friends with your postal workers and the people that work at the thrift stores. And I don't mean that you have to kiss up or anything like that, but be friendly and be nice. The postal workers, a lot of them are overworked. They're understaffed and they're overworked. And still at the thrift stores, it can be that way too. But it's a benefit for you. And I ain't saying that they'll do you favors, but I'll tell you what, sometimes they'll look out for you, especially at the post office and at the thrift stores. And it makes it that much more pleasant, because some thrift stores don't like resellers and some don't mind them. All of mine, they're very nice, and the majority of them know that I resell for the most part. But I wouldn't go around blabbing it. You don't have to, I guess because some, stores don't really like resellers that much. But anyhow, hopefully this has benefited you some. It's a lot of information, and there's way more information, but this is part 1. And I just thought that maybe this would, benefit you, on getting set up a little bit for your first time of selling. But If you stick with it, it really can be rewarding. I will tell you honestly, though, this is work. If you're going to work towards making it full time, it's work. It's not like those quick, get rich quick things. It really isn't. It is work, and I will tell you that it is. However, it can be very rewarding, and you can make a lot of money. And it takes time though to build up. I would not ever suggest for anybody to go anywhere full time until they got a lot, quite a long time in on reselling. I would say maybe over a year, really, or more. It depends on how much time you spend on it, but it's like you really want a lot of knowledge. And remember, in any retail or resale online, your sales are going to be like this a little bit. That is how it always is, and you got to be prepared for that and make sure that you can handle that and not get like super depressed. We all get depressed when sales are slow, but I mean, you got to kind of go with it, you know what I mean? And understand that you're going to have some highs and lows and different things like that. And in summertime, it's always summer slowdown. Sales are slower than it is the rest of the year. But anyhow, hopefully you've got some benefit out of this. If you'd like, you can subscribe. I have a lot of other videos up on eBay tips and especially thrift hauls. If you're doing clothing, I have a lot of thrift hauls. I would highly suggest start watching some other resellers on what they're purchasing. A lot of people are controversial about the YouTubers. I've learned the most. I'll be honest, and that's way before I started doing any. I mean, I've learned the most, and I still watch some of them. I still learn new brands. Now, some of them maybe are overshooting the price a little bit on some. I mean, that can happen or whatever. But you got to remember, maybe they're holding out for this bigger price, and most people aren't. There's a lot of things on there. Just don't believe everything they tell you. I mean, like off the bat, without checking. What I'm saying is not to say that they're lying, but if they're mentioning some brands, write them down. Then go and do sold comps and see what they're really selling for and how often, if you want to do sell-through rate. That's what I do. I check on a lot of those. But I've learned a lot that, and the Facebook groups have been beneficial too. Anyhow, if you can do me a favor and push the thumbs up button, I greatly appreciate that too. Many prosperous sales to you. Thank you.